Hello and welcome to this live broadcast. My name is Bishop Ibro Zion and I'm the lead pastor of Mountain of Praise Church International based in the northern part of Nigeria with branches in other states in Nigeria. Now, I am making this broadcast as a means of reporting a major incident, a major Islamic terrorist attack against me and my entire family, my wife and 3 sons. This happened in the year 2022 in the town called Wusasa. We live in a very, a new community called Angwamadaki in Kufena in Zaria, Kaduna State, Nigeria. Now, on this particular night, it happened on the 31st of August, 2022, which is a night before our 10th year marriage anniversary with my wife. So it's normally a period where my wife, makes some cooking, some baking and preparation for the celebration in the next day. So I started hearing an unusual barking by my dog in the compound. The dog was just barking profusely. So I decided to peep through the glass window. And what I saw was a gun pointing at me and the person saying in Hausa language, what that simply means is like an insult saying, open the door. And so out of shock, I withdrew off the light in the sitting room, went straight to the kitchen because the back of the kitchen is also glass window. My house is built in such a way that there's no fence. It's an open house with glass windows and glass, all over the house. So I off the one in the kitchen and asked my wife to come. As an obedient wife, she followed me asking, what is that? And then I just said to her, gun. And then out of shock, I said, shh. So I took her into the room and I took her to the children's room. I, tried to hide them. And the next thing I started hearing was gunshot everywhere. AK-47, like we were surrounded. About 25 gunmen, these Islamic terrorists came to the area. So they went to the next compound, which is a compound like a far distance away from mine. The place is a new outlet for those who know Kufena and Gwamataki very well, like a new government reserve area where Igbo people live, the mostly Christian-dominated area. And so they went to the next compound and shot at that house, and then they abducted a young boy to actually identify to them that this is Bishop Ibro Zion's house. And so the young man brought them and said, yes, this is the house. So they started shooting at the door, until eventually, after quite some time, they broke through that door and came into my house. Now, my house is just a 2-bedroom flat, apartment where my wife and I and 3 sons. My first son is just 13 now. The second one is 9 years old, and the last born is 6 years old. Now, at this time, the boy is still like 10 years, and the other little one is still like maybe 3-4 years thereabout. And what happened? They came in, started searching for me, and the ones outside were saying, if you see him, shoot him, kill him. If you see him, shoot him, kill him. So I knew this is not a kind of kidnapping case. It's a murder case. It's an assassination mission. It's an assassination attack. So, there's this part of my wife's store where she usually keep, cartons and, leather bags of whatever it is she bought. I always say, let's clean this store. And she would tell me, leave it, it's my office. So I dived into that area and the whole carton, fell over me. And somehow God just used that to shield me right there. And the next thing I saw, they were just harassing my wife and she was telling them she wants to put on a suit. She wants to this, and then, they marched her out. And the little boy was shouting, Mommy, carry me, like I was just praying in my heart that they shouldn't take that little boy. And when they were marching her out, my heart was saying, go out and just identify that you are here. But I knew if I step out, they didn't come for her, they came for me. They would just shoot and kill, just like the ringleader outside saying, shoot him and kill him on sight. So I stood there. One came into the store and shone light on me I knew there was light on me, even though my face was face down. And then he was saying in Hausa language, like the leg he's seeing, he said, is it a wooden leg or is it human leg? And then he shot bullets at that spot. And, the tiles, everything scattered. And, part of those particles pierced through my lower abdomen, and, he left and came to the sitting room on a phone call on hands-free saying, Munzo amma ba mu ga bishop ba mun ga matan shi da yaron. What that simply means in Hausa language is we came to the house, we couldn't see the bishop, but we saw his wife and children. And the person on the other side of the phone said to him, meaning pick the wife. And so they left with my wife, and marched her through the mountainous areas of Kufena. Now, while that is going on, I quickly came back, carried my sons, prepared the vehicle outside to move them to safety. And, at about this time, we're talking of this incident happened over 1 hour because they came at about past 11 in the midnight of 31st August 2022. And they stayed and operated up till the next day, which is like after 12 a.m. of 1st of September. And there was no any counter attack against them except the local vigilante. The next thing we started hearing was gunshots around the mountainous area, different kind of gunshots. You could just hear ta-ta-ta-ta, something like that, like all over. It was just gunfire and crossfire. What I didn't know is that the local security people we call vigilantes chased after them. And according to my wife, she said, while they were marching her away, they kept telling her, Madam, tell us where Bishop is because we will not release you if we take you to our camp until the day he brings himself to our camp and we shoot him and kill him because we have been paid to kill him. These are the Islamic terrorists talking to my wife, telling her directly. And then she said, I don't know where he is. And according to her, she said, sincerely, even if she's to point out, she doesn't know where it's like God just hid me and saved me in that saga, okay? And then, as they were matching her, he said the ringleader said this woman is not walking fast and that they should make her walk fast. And so in the process of making her to walk fast, one of them pushed my wife, and what happened? She stumbled and hit her leg on a rocky part of that area and the bone broke, like a compound fracture, and she screamed out. So they stopped and said, what was that? And then that one said, her leg is broken. The ringleader came back and pressed her leg, like pressed it, and then she screamed. He said, it's true. So he said they should carry her and back her. And the other one told the ringleader that if we back this woman, they're going to catch us. We need to escape. And then he said, waste her, more like shoot her and kill her. So 3 of them came and pointed AK-47 gun on her, like they would shoot her to death. And she said she just stood there watching and just saying to herself, she don't know what next will happen. And among them, one just hit the metal, like hit the other guns and say, leave this woman. She's good for nothing. She can't even walk. She can't do anything. Let's go. And so they threatened her that she shouldn't show their direction. She shouldn't say anything. And that one said to her, and then she said, yes, yes. And then she kept quiet. And they marched and ran away for their life. And what happened? Even the vigilante who were shooting did not know her whereabouts. So my wife stood in that bush all through the night from around after 12 a.m. until at about 5 a.m. when a farmer came to his carrot farm and had movement around there. And so he came and met her. Madam, what are you doing here? So she cried out. And then he ran quickly to the palace of the king of Kufena, who is a Muslim king, to report that we found a woman, between life and death in my farm. And so the king sent to fetch her from that place. And luckily enough, you see, that's why it's good to be good. As a believer, as a pastor, I've been into charity. I've been into giving in that community, supporting the needy and sending support to everybody. So the king knows me and he have my contact. But in that process of that attack, they made away with my laptop, with my phones, every device I have. I had only my wife's phone that she left under the pillow. They couldn't find that. And so that phone was in my hand. And through that phone, they were able to reach me. And they called and said, your wife has been found, but her leg is broken. Bishop, come pick your wife. And in that process, you needed to see the leap of joy I had. So I called on a friend, Reverend Silas, a man of God, and we drove to the King's Palace and to pick my wife, to safety. So we brought her behind the Damagaji police station around that Usasa axis. And guess what? That was when the police came to take report of what happened or what did not happen. Now, this is to tell you that there is a major Christian genocide in Nigeria, not just in northern Nigeria where I am, but even in the Middle Belt in Benue State and other regions of Nigeria, especially, the Ondo Catholic attack. On a Sunday morning in Ondo, these terrorists came in with their guns and started shooting sporadically, killed so many people in the church. What are we talking about? Are we going to talk about the Benue State attack in Yelwata, where I have the video that VDM did in Yelwata? There's this young man we call Very Dark Man from Nigeria who visited Yelwata and, covered and did a coverage with video of people that were burnt alive, Christians that were burnt alive. Their villages were burnt down. What about Southern Kaduna part? In villages like Kafanchan, even recently, they went to Kafanchan, the Diocese of Catholic in Kafanchan, abducted a reverend father, okay, and then killed about 3 people instantly. What are we talking about? What about Niger State, where they came also the same way, killed hundreds of people? What about Kwara State, where they also attack villages, abduct people? And this is Zaria we're talking about. These things didn't end. After my case, an Anglican priest called, what's that his name now? He's an Anglican reverend that they came and picked him from his house, broke through the wall, abducted him, they macheted him, used cutlass to cut his body, and they took him to their camp until ransom were paid before they released him. What are we talking about? These things happen virtually every day. It has become like a normal norm that today Christians are no longer free to worship. For me, I had to move my family out of Zaria because it was a thing of life and death. Okay? They threatened to return back for me and that they are going to make sure they kill me. Why? I gave my life to Christ from Islam when I was 12 years old. So they knew that my name being Ibrahim, I used to be a Muslim who met Christ. Christ appeared to me in my dream, and nobody had to preach to me until I met with Dr. John Akwami, the founder of Christian Teaching Center, who led me to Christ physically and nurtured me, taught me the word of God until I became who I am today. I was consecrated the first Pentecostal bishop in Zaria local government on the 22nd of May, 2022. And so this attack happened just few months after my consecration into the office of a bishop. So the church, I had to leave. The school we planted in Sae region of Zaria, we had to leave that behind. And the school, the building was demolished. My properties were run over. Now, I am a digital coach. I studied computer science. I can't do anything no more. We're like refugees. We left that city and came to Abuja to start all over again. Everything I worked for over 40 years went down the drain. It's like starting life all over again. As a matter of fact, I can't go back to my hometown. Now I have to put on nose masks. If I'm moving around, if I'm traveling anywhere, I move without trauma, without fear. My wife, my children, before they left with my wife, they used the bottom of AK-47 to keep hitting my son on his head, asking him, show us where your father is. They keep smashing his head. As a matter of fact, if not the mercy of God, that boy would have had a mental issue. For after some time, he will tell you, I'm having headache. So right now, we're just like refugees in our own very country, like refugees who do not have, anybody coming to our aid. There was no any support from the government of my nation, Nigeria, no any support from the state government. That time it was Nasiru El-Rufai, who was the governor of Kaduna State. And these things keep happening now and then, over and over and over and over, up till date. So I'm using this ample opportunity to speak out as a bishop over the body of Christ in Nigeria, and to cry out to the government, especially the Roman Catholic Vatican, because that, to me, is the headquarters of Christianity on the planet Earth. And we're calling out on the Pope, calling out on the American government, on the Italian government, and every Christian body worldwide who can come to the support and come to the aid of Christians in Nigeria. Nigerian Christians are under severe persecution. There's a massive Christian genocide. Christians are being massacred and killed every day, every now and then, and nobody to run to. Now, as Christians, we are not given to violence. Even if you hear people saying we should defend ourselves, with what shall we defend ourselves? With what should we defend ourselves? The case of Jackson in Adamawa, who defended himself with his bare hands in a farm where Fulani terrorists came to attack him, and he defended himself, and in that process, he used his strength, physical strength, to fight the Fulani until he killed him. He was arraigned in the court and was to be jailed or sentenced to death until we started protesting that Jackson must not be killed, Jackson must not be sentenced. And you know, finally, when they saw the voice and the roar was too much, just a few weeks ago, he was given amnesty, you know, and he was released. So even if you want to defend yourself, the government will still say it's a crime. So we don't know what to do. We're helpless. We're just here looking up to Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith. So I'm using this opportunity to call on the government, the Catholic body, to come to the aid of Christians. Catholic churches are being attacked. In my own very eyes, in Yoruba Street, Christ the King Catholic Church, CKC, in Yoruba Street, Zaria, was bombed. These Islamic jihadists came with bomb in their car, and they got, thank God for the boys brigade at the gate who will not let them pass. And because the bomb was a time bomb, what happened? It exploded at the gate, which killed some of those young Catholic security boys some years back. I was in Zaria. My church then was in Sabongari, not far from the Catholic church. And as that bomb blew, you know, there was vibration up to the church where I was preaching. And immediately, you know, that kind of thing, you don't stay. We had to leave and go to the Catholic church, come and see. They were blasted to death. These things keep happening. What about the Ekwa church in Wusasa that was bombed? Recently, one of the fathers of faith, Reverend Peter Giwa in Wusasa, Zaria, all of a sudden his house just caught fire in the middle of the night. They wanted to burn him and the entire family down to death. But somehow God spared them. He came out with his wife and children, but everything they had was burnt down. This is a calculated genocide against Christians, against ministers of the gospel. It's like somebody is sponsoring these Islamic terrorists and giving them target to say, if you can get a bishop, if you can get a pastor, if you can get a priest and kill him or abduct him, there is this amount we give to you. If not, who would have paid for me to be killed? They said it. It's not like my wife's quoted them verbatim to verbatim. So please, I am calling on the Italian government. I'm calling on the American government. I'm calling on the Israeli government to come to the aid of Christians in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, we are looking for where to go. I had to leave this country to Malawi sometimes for refuge. And in the midst of that, we couldn't, you know, survive in the eastern part of Africa. We had to return back with my family. And now we are in Abuja, Nigeria, just trying to start life all over again. It has not been easy, but for the mercies of God. Thank you very much for watching, and God bless you. I will be open to any invitation to present this report in full-fledged. I have it, the written report. Thank you so much, everyone, and God bless you for watching. My name is Bishop Ibro Zion, and on the cyberspace, they popularly call me the Digital Bishop. Thank you for watching, and God bless. Bye-bye.